It is that time of year. The bracket is dropped. Let's get into our picks right now. We are doing this on ESPN because it is the most popular app, and that's where I'll be having my free bracket pool along with my paid Survivor pool that'll be hosted on Splash Sports. Just like NFL Survivor, $20 entry, winner takes all. I'll have more details somewhere else. Like, comment, sub, let's go. We're starting this in the Midwest region because the South gets overexposed with everybody starting with it. Never in a million years will I straight up pick a 16 seed over a 1 seed. We're skipping all of these. And I can say the same for 15s over 2s as well. But Tennessee will be my day one pick of the Survivor pool, so I'll make sure to include that one. Gonzaga is the most underseeded team versus KenPom ever. I would lose sleep at night not at least picking them over Georgia. I feel like the McNeese Cinderella is getting a little bit manufactured. 3 brand deals for Amir Khan before the tournament starts is pretty impressive. I think the wall runs dry here, though. I have no faith in anybody in this pod to get past the Sweet 16. For that reason alone, I'm taking High Point. And even to a further extent, I feel gross putting any of these teams in the round of 32. We're going to roll with the favorites. With how the Calipari era ended at Kentucky, Mark Pope's seat is at least warm if he loses this game. I think he takes care of business. And assuming Mick Cronin can get over himself to make one more trip across the country, I like the Bruins in this one too. This is the biggest toss-up in the whole first round. Mississippi State's body of work is a little bit better, so I'll roll with them. And on the other side, this is the biggest lock of the first round outside of the 1-2 seed line. Virginia to Seattle is a haul for Liberty to go there and play a better team that could take a bus there. This is also my day 2 Survivor pick, assuming that Tennessee wins. Arizona has been playing better than a 4 seed lately. Really tough matchup for a good Akron team. I still believe in BYU. I just think Houston is their kryptonite. I could picture in my head Wisconsin losing this game, but I can't pick it. I love this pod. Alabama versus either of these teams will be great. Give me the Gales. People are expecting a Louisville home game here, but filling up their arena despite their rivals seems like something Big Blue Nation would do. Regardless, though, similar to Gonzaga, Louisville is way too good of an AC to pick against them. I like Michigan's value here a lot. The UC San Diego pick is a little too sexy for me. Michigan deserves the benefit of the doubt after winning the Big Ten tournament. This is a really weird matchup for Texas A&M, isn't it? Their whole schedule is basically supremely athletic, physical SEC teams, or the worst mid-majors you have ever seen. Yale isn't either of those, and I think it's going to throw the Aggies off. Crazy good draw for Ole Miss first round. Both these playing teams are so uninspiring, confidently supporting the Rebels here. We were so close to seeing Lipscomb play in person this year, but y'all sent me to Alabama A&M instead. So I just have to assume they're not good enough to beat Iowa State. I like New Mexico, but Cam Jones is too good to not give him at least one game. I'm not even going to open Pandora's box right here. Dan Hurley's a great March coach, but you know who else is? Porter Moser. He's going to go in there and get his first NCAA tournament win at Oklahoma. This right here is a very, very interesting pod. Colorado State is a favorite in this game. You don't see that too often with a 7-seed spread. I got to take the Rams here. Huge tourney for Maryland this year, fresh off Kevin Willard's payday. I like Grand Canyon to put up a fight, but the Terps losing this game would be a catastrophe. Ooh, this is a barn burner in the Plains. Iowa school versus Missouri school in Kansas. I love it. This feels like the game that everyone's going to want Drake to win. I think they're going to keep it close all game, but it's going to be one of those heartbreakers that Missouri just ends up winning by 1 possession. UNC Wilmington hasn't played anyone. I have no reason to believe they can beat Texas Tech. Last first round game for us. Possibly the most anticipated too. The way Arkansas has been playing, I think Cal comes into this tournament with a chip on his shoulder, and I think Kansas' season is past salvaging at this point. I like the Razorbacks. I have been extremely, extremely impressed with Houston recently. I would really pause at Gonzaga versus the rest of the 1 seeds. Confidently taking Houston in this one, though. Any team can win any game in the tournament. I just don't think High Point has the juice to win 2, though. Illinois might get dangerous with 1 win under their belt. I don't feel confident enough they're going to get 1, though, to get them in the Sweet 16. I feel like we've seen in recent years there's something to an extremely under-the-radar power conference team. UCLA didn't have a lot of expectations going into the year. They never got too hot or too cold, and they have a good head coach. They kind of remind me of Clemson last year, Miami a couple years before that. I like them to take the Vols and flip this bracket on his head. There was a lot of potential for Duke's second round game to be scary, especially if Cooper Flagg's not playing. I just don't think Baylor or Mississippi State have the juice, though. Arizona is the better team, but I'm more confident in Oregon being Liberty and Arizona than Arizona being Akron and Oregon, if that makes sense. Call me crazy, but I think whoever wins this game right here is making the Final Four out of this region. I love how both teams have been playing. I think it's going to be a pretty big toss-up. I'm going to toss it up to BYU. Alabama is either losing this game or winning it by 40. It's more fun to pick them getting upset, though. The ACC is so bad, I have a hard time picking them against any SEC team. I genuinely don't think the conference prepared Louisville well enough for what's going to be another day at the office for Auburn. Once again, I love Michigan's value here. I think the people that are going to pick them to beat UC San Diego are going to pick them to lose to Texas A&M. But if it comes down to the Danny Wolf revenge game, I like Michigan in that too. Like him or hate him, Chris Beard is a really good coach. He's going to take care of business against an injured Iowa State team. The 2023 rematch makes me a little nervous for MSU. It's too good of a matchup to overlook it, though. MSU's guards puts Marquette's guards in a locker. If Florida gets Norfolk State and Oklahoma as their first two games, they are winning their pod by 100 points. I'm so serious. Once again, another tight game for Maryland against a double-digit seed. It's going to be another win, though. There's going to be a lot of people that regret picking Drake after Mizzou wins one game and shows how good they are. I'm really bought into this Cal revenge arc. They got the talent to beat St. John's. They're going to do it, too. 1-2 seed in the Sweet 16. Kind of dicey. No going back now, though. Clemson's relatively easy road to the Sweet 16 I pay for them is coming to a screeching halt right here. I'm half nervous to put UCLA all the way in the Elite Eight and half just kind of want to see the same logo matchup against Houston. Give me Kentucky. If Arizona can make the Sweet 16, they will give Duke everything they want. Oregon will not, though. I feel really good about BYU in this WCC throwback. I even like them if they have to play Bama, too. If we get to this, people will be fiending for a Michigan State Elite Eight. But they will also forget that Auburn is too good to let this happen. I actually think Auburn beats the brakes off Michigan right here. And after saying all of that, I'm realizing this is going to sound super homer, but MSU is the better team, and I think great teams take care of good teams. They'll do that against Ole Miss. The issue I have with the West is I can't close my eyes and imagine any of these teams in the Final Four. Except UConn, but I'm not going to impose that evil on all of you. I just like betting on what's proven, and it makes me a little nervous that Todd Golden has not won one tournament game in his head coaching career, and a lot of people are picking him to win a national championship right away. But on the other hand, a lot of the coaches and programs and coaches at these programs and the rest of the region haven't done much of that either. I really think this is going to be the region of chaos, but since there isn't one team I feel particularly good about, I'm just going to default to Florida and have them go into the Final Four, which they will have to get past Missouri to do after they take down Arkansas in a Big 8 Classic. Joining them in the Final Four, I have who I think is the safest pick in the tourney, Houston beating Kentucky. And just not to go straight chalk in the Final Four, I'm going to put BYU over Duke too. After the flag injury, there is just too much up in the air for me to feel confident in a Duke run. And the more I think about it, BYU making a Final Four, getting all this offseason hype, getting AJ Dybantsa just to go in there and underperform next year, seems like something that would totally happen, right? I think that's going to happen. But that's the pick of the bracket right there. That's where we're winning all of our money or coming out with nothing. And lastly, I really hate to do this in our first true basketball breakdown because I promise I am not a homer, but I have watched every single Michigan State game this year. This is a Final Four type Izzo team, and these type of teams always find a signature win in March. I think that win's coming against Auburn. Give me Michigan State to play Florida in the 2000 National Championship rematch and Tom Izzo's 9th Final Four. In the semis, we have BYU once again getting matched up against their kryptonite for the third time, and it's going to go the same time as the first two. And on the other side, I will also put Michigan State in the national championship. For the record, if it is actually coming down to Michigan State beating Auburn, then beating Florida, I do not think they're going to do that. But once again, Florida is a default for me. I really think it's going to be some random team from that region that gets to the Final Four that MSU will get favored against. This brings us to a national championship of Michigan State versus Houston, where I'll be rolling with Houston. Not just because I'm afraid of jinxing my favorite team, because I 100% am. I do think Houston has proven this season over their entire body of work to be the most impressive team in the country. Ken Pom has been telling us for a handful of years now that they're national championship caliber. They've had a little bit of bad luck, and I think this year they finally get the perfect storm to go on that run that they've been due for a little bit. As we finish, man is making a nice long video about talking ball feel good. I'll admit it, this was a little bit narrative driven because doing the amount of traveling I do and watching the amount of ball that I want to watch is really, really tough. But if this is our content right here and getting in the weeds with y'all is more important than being places, I love doing this too. Thanks again for watching. Like, comment, sub. Let's get a little banter going on in the community with March Madness coming up right here. And of course, in the description, you're going to see our bracket pools at ESPN, at Splash Sports for a $20 entry. Throw me some comments about it. I'll be more than happy to answer. Best of luck this March. Appreciate y'all guys.